terroristic threat against her and her son. He threatened to kill them both. That man stole her whole life, and he flaunted it in her face. How he did this is because they have a joint bank account. He removed her off of the bank. I don't even know how he could have even did this, but he removed her name off the bank because she had no access.
At first glance, nothing about July 11th, 2025 warned of the storm that would erupt inside an Arlington salon. The morning was routine. Clients filtered into Salon and Spa Galleria, phones in hand, chatting about life and appointments. Among them sat William Todd Austin, a father, businessman, and founder of the popular credit repair company, Credit Champs. But that peace was short-lived. Minutes later, his former partner, Timone Rochelle Williams, stepped into the salon, armed not just with a gun, but with a soul scorched by betrayal. Within moments, the scene turned from mundane to morbid. Todd was shot multiple times in the barber's chair, and as police sirens neared, Timone turned the gun on herself. The media was quick to call it what it looked like, a murder-suicide driven by a domestic dispute. But for those who knew the truth or even dared to listen beyond the headlines, this wasn't just about a failed relationship. It was a story about emotional abuse, stolen dreams, financial manipulation, and a woman who had lost everything while the world believed she had it all together. She wasn't just angry, she was erased, and that morning her silence broke. Before the headlines, before the gunfire, there was just Timone, a woman who rose from scratch, a former military personnel. She had faced hardship and discipline, the kind that forges resilience in the bones of those the world tries to forget. She wasn't handed a platform, she built it, piece by piece. Timone started her credit repair business, Lux Credit Services, not with fanfare, but with grit. She educated herself, helped others, and took pride in knowing that what she built came from nothing but her mind and her hands. It wasn't just a job. It was her livelihood, her legacy, her way of reclaiming power in a world that often leaves women, especially black women, buried under other people's success. Then Todd came along, handsome, charming, full of ambition. They fell into a relationship. Not the whirlwind type, but one built on what she thought was mutual respect. She trusted him. She let him into her home, her life, her business, her blueprint. What followed was subtle. Todd learned from her, learned the systems, the pitch, the structure. And slowly, what was hers became his. He built Credit Champs, the now thriving company that would make him an online business success story. But to the woman who taught him everything, who helped him grow, it felt like watching someone else wear your face and take credit for your name. Worse, when the relationship crumbled, the theft wasn't just emotional. It was financial. It was spiritual. She had poured into him, and he had bled her dry.
Okay, I'm here to tell the story of Michelle and Todd to clear the false narratives. He did not give her HIV. He was not cheating on her at the time of the murder-suicide. In fact, they haven't even been together in over a year. Yeah, Michelle came from nothing. She built herself up as a veteran, as a successful business owner. Her knowledge, the things that she knew in order to get money to take care of her kids as a single mother. When she met Todd, Todd was living downtown Dallas under a CPN number. He did not know how to do credit repair. She taught him how to do that, and they built this business, Credit Champs, together. Whenever they broke up, because I see he's been sending his clients the video when she pulled the gun on him. She wanted him out of her house, and he would not leave. There's an active restraining order right now against him. Terroristic threat against her and her son. He threatened to kill them both. Okay? Todd reversed all of Michelle's mortgage payments up to I think 18 months, probably more, to the point where she was about to lose her home. How he did this is because they have a joint bank account. He removed her off of the bank. I don't even know how he could have even did this, but he removed her name off the bank because she had no access. He created a new email for everything to go to, not the email that they had. Michelle went to Vegas one weekend, and she came back, and all her money was gone. Now, could you imagine having $250,000 or even $500,000 in your bank account, and now it's zero? You can't pay your mortgage. You can't take care of your kids. He's threatening you. He's not giving you nothing for your kid. Okay? Michelle had several cases against this man. Okay? Me, as well, had a lawsuit that I just won and got paid off a day before the murder-suicide. Michelle was suing him for a lot. He was taunting her by still promoting this company, still making money off this company that they built, not giving her access to any of the money. He also wrapped a Cybertruck, was riding past her house. She could see it on her Ring camera. He was taunting her. She was so full of debt. She was about to lose her home. The air went out in her Tesla. It was just a lot of stuff going on, and she had $0 to deal with her situation. She reached out to family. She reached out to people to help her, and only a handful of us helped her. Okay? So with all this stuff that y'all got going on about he gave her HIV or she was cheating and it's more dick out there, it had nothing to do with that. That man stole her whole life, and he flaunted it in her face. Todd also took her $10,000 settlement payment that she got from the military. When he got access to her phone, he drained her personal account, locked her out of her business accounts, wouldn't help her with her son. So all of this stuff, I just want to clear the false narrative. He is not who you think he was. And I'm not justifying anything that she done.
When most people think of abuse, they picture bruises, loud fights, ambulances. But what Timone endured wasn't always visible. It was in the passwords changed without her knowing, in the business account logouts, in the way a man she once loved refused to leave the home they shared after their breakup, daring her to call the police, daring her to try. At some point, Timone tried to reclaim her life. She asked Todd to leave. She attempted to re-establish her boundaries, but he stayed. And when he didn't just linger, he took over.
Motherfucker wanna fucking pop me. Oh, shit. Change the pole.
It was a normal day at the salon until it wasn't. Todd was in the chair, mid-fade. The buzz of clippers, the scent of aftershave, casual talk floating through the air. Nothing suggested that death was standing at the door. When Timone walked in, she didn't shout. She didn't argue. There was no last warning. She raised the weapon and pulled the trigger. Witnesses said the shots rang out fast, sharp, ruthless. Todd Austin never stood a chance. The man who once shared her bed, her child, her passwords. Her plans lay slumped and bleeding on the barber floor. Then came the moment that revealed everything. Timone didn't run. She didn't plead. She didn't fight the police. Instead, when the officers arrived, she turned the gun on herself and pulled the trigger one last time. That was the end. Of the violence, of the silence, of the woman no one heard until it was far, far too late. She wasn't trying to escape. She wasn't trying to explain. She wanted it all to stop. The gaslighting, the grief, the humiliation, the fear, and for that brief moment, as the noise faded and the sirens screamed closer, Timone Michelle Williams, once a builder, a mother, a veteran, was simply a woman who had finally run out of ways to survive. A war no one knew she was fighting. A war that didn't start with bullets, but ended with them. Now, all that's left is silence. 2 lives ended, 1 bullet at a time. A child left without both parents. A community stunned, and 1,000 opinions on social media, each one louder than the last. Some call her a monster, others call her a martyr. But behind every label is a story far more complicated than a comment section could ever hold. Timone Williams wasn't perfect, but she wasn't evil either. She was a woman who did what society tells women to do: build, nurture, support, and stay quiet. She followed the rules until the rules betrayed her. Todd Austin wasn't perfect either, but while the world admired his hustle, few asked what it was built on. No one questioned why a woman with a booming business had vanished from her own company. No one asked why she needed a restraining order. No one asked what she lost before she finally broke. Now it's too late. Too late to apologize. Too late to investigate. Too late to save a mother from the edge of despair. Too late to protect a man from becoming a victim of the very violence he was accused of causing. All that remains is a little boy, the child they once created in love, now orphaned by pain. And all we can do is ask ourselves the question no one asked when it mattered most. What does it take for a woman to finally snap? And why didn't we listen when she whispered for help?